way slower and more enclosed than roller coasters. Well, usually. Things could happen, like getting stuck, in the dark, and even being slammed into someone 3 times your size. I've experienced that before. Oh, and how could I forget falling off the edge? But hey, there's still a great time. Just ignore the broken bones, the possible monsters living in the tubes, and also the fat guy you collided with. That's why today we're going to tell you 10 water slides that you don't have to worry about riding anymore. Here's 10 bend water slides you can't ride. I can ride a bill, I'm awesome like that. Let's begin, shall we? Number 10, Steamer Slide. Barring how dirty this name can be construed, Calypso Water Park in Ottawa, Canada was slammed with 20 charges in 2015 due to safety issues. 9 were withdrawn during the trial, leaving 11 charges remaining. The Calypso Water Park was found guilty of 6 of these charges. These charges mainly concerned a particularly dangerous slide called the Steamer Slide. Now here's how this slide goes. Riders on the steamer plummet down the slide on tubes, and those tubes slipped fairly frequently, leaving several people injured. One person broke her vertebra in 2 places on the ride. Another broke their collarbone. When these injuries happened, the water park failed to report the incidents or shut down the slide. Oh boy, what's this? You got a broken collarbone? I can't feel my face! Hey, walk it off, kid. He's a lollipop. And what about you? I broke both of my legs! Walk it off. Number 9, Aquasphere. Now this one sounds less dirty and more like a Pokemon move. The Aquasphere is part of the Peninsula Aquatic Recreation Center. This slide, which features long, winding paths, has been plagued with all kinds of problems since its conception. These problems usually result in people suffering some pretty intense injuries. One boy was seen thrown out the side of the bottom completely limp after falling off the raft and being bounced around inside the slide. The impacts left him unconscious. After this incident, the slide was closed for investigations into what caused the problem. However, this is hardly the first time the slide has been shut down after an injury. In its past, the slide has severely injured 2 young boys in one incident, and had its pipe burst in another, as well as injured 2 adults who hit their heads on the ceiling of the slide. Even when the ride was first tested by the staff and their families for a private event after first being built, it still managed to injure several people. Number 8, Shoot the Rapids. Shoot the Rapids is a water slide in Cedar Point. Riders get to go down a massive slide while on a raft, with up to 10 people fitting on one raft. The ride was the site of one of the worst injuries and incidents in water slide history. One of the rafts was being pulled to the top of the hill when the ride malfunctioned. The raft was sent hurtling back down the hill before flipping upside down. That meant that 10 people, count them, 10, were stuck in their seats, trapped in the water with no way out. One woman had suffered severe head injuries. There were children on the raft who were scared out of their minds. People rushed into the water and attempted to manually flip the raft back over by hand. If it weren't for these brave people who answered the call, the people on the raft probably would have drowned. Number 7, Black Hole. One of the most infamous water slides in the world is the Black Hole slide at the Wet n Wild Water Park in Orlando. Don't know why I went southern there, but hey, what ifs. It has been the target of several lawsuits, all filed by people who have been seriously injured while riding this death trap. In 2000, a man was awarded $1.73 million after filing a lawsuit pertaining to severe injuries he suffered in the black hole. He was struck by an unknown object while traveling down the slide. When he was ejected out from the bottom of the slide, he couldn't move his legs. He later needed metal plates implanted into his neck. There have been countless other lawsuits against Wet n Wild after injuries sustained in the black hole. One girl suffered injuries after falling off her tube, hitting the bottom. Another person came to a complete stop and was hit hard by the next person coming down the slide. Another girl's tube flipped, injuring her. Kind of seeing a recurring pattern here. The main problem is that the ride takes 23 seconds for a person to complete, but the staff send a tube down every 20 seconds, meaning they don't wait until the first person has left the slide before pushing another person down. Number 6, Insano Water Slide. For our next water slide, we go to Brazil's Beach Park. It's home to one of the tallest water slides in the world. We are, of course, talking about the Insano Water Slide. This thing is a whopping 41 meters in height. That's the same as a 14-story building, so it was bound to have terrible injuries associated with it. Riders experience speeds of over 65 miles per hour on their riveting way down to the bottom. They say it is so steep that your body barely touches the actual slide. You're in midair for most of the ride. Because of this, it's incredibly important to cross your ankles and cross your arms around your chest if you want to ride this thing. For all the hype, the slide is over in about 4 or 5 seconds. Staff often laugh at people who come out of the bottom of this ride. These tourists are often reduced to tears by the time they get spat out of the bottom of this behemoth. I mean, can you blame them? That's a 14-story building. It's terrifying. I mean, what if there's an alligator down there? You didn't know about it. Actually, it'd be a Cayman considering it's Brazil, but still, it's terrifying. Number 5, Sahara Sidewinders. The Sahara Sidewinders ride at the Kalahari Resort in Wisconsin Dells has a track record of being very dangerous indeed. It's marketed as the only indoor slide with loops, the first of its kind in America. Oh God. Your water architects were so preoccupied with whether or not they could, they didn't stop to think if they should. I mean, my God, look at that. Indoor loops are just begging for lawsuits. And with this new technology comes new safety concerns. Oh boy, concerns that were ignored by the resort in question. Oh no. In 2011, the resort was hit with a lawsuit after a teenage boy was injured while riding the Kalahari Resort. The reason the lawsuit was successful was because it was proved that the Kalahari knew the ride was unsafe but did nothing to fix it. They know this because several other people complained about the ride. These complaints were ignored. Wisconsin Dells has a huge track record of injuries at its various resorts, but this one was the worst. The nature of the slide makes smacking against the surface incredibly common. Excuse me, sir. They're suing